Hi, good evening. This message is for everyone, but it is especially for our Thursday group. I know that the Thursday group for both the 12:30 and the 2 o'clock class experienced a lot of difficulty and some frustration hearing the conversation that we had in class today, our first class session together. And I apologize to you for that. But I'm going to figure out what I didn't do correctly and improve upon that on Thursday. And so, what I want to share with you right now is just a very, very quick overview of some of the main points that we covered in person today in Evans 209. I know you've had a chance to read through the syllabus, and I appreciate you doing that, but I do want to take some time and go over some things that I highlighted for the rest of the class. The Thursday group, you and I will have some FaceTime on Thursday to go back to take your follow-up questions should you have any. As the Tuesday group is well aware of, we really didn't get much into our lecture, drawing from material and talking about stuff that's in chapter 1 of both of your textbooks. I have already posted those PowerPoints online for you. You're welcome to look through those, but we didn't talk about them at all today. And we're going to jump right into those when we get together on Thursday, having cleared up any questions you have about things that were covered in the syllabus. But it's pretty straightforward, so I'm just going to take the next few minutes to highlight a few things for you. We'll call it a day, and we're going to start back fresh on Thursday. So just to reiterate, unlike what I probably said in my state of frustration this afternoon, we're going to give it another go at this learning together with half of us joining in through Zoom and the other half in person. And we're just going to give it another go. And so that means for our Thursday group, I get to meet you on Thursday, and it means the Tuesday people, you're going to be logging in through Zoom with us Thursday morning. And I don't know how well I'll be able to, or how often I'll be able to interact with you, but we certainly want you there and present during that session. And we'll get the audio working so that for everyone, we'll have the session recorded and uploaded. So if you choose to, you can review what we covered in class on any particular day. We talked just a little bit about the content of an introductory course. Our introductory course is not unlike any other. We're going to cover a lot of topics in a very short period of time, and our coverage will be, by necessity, superficial. We're going to spend the majority of our time going a bit deeper, though, in a few selected areas. One such area will be in our unit on social stratification. That's one I think is particularly important for us to learn a bit more about how sociologists approach that, and what are some of our key insights and findings in the area of social stratification and social inequality in some very important arenas in life as it relates to our economic positions, our positions related to our sex, our positions related to our ethnicity and our race. And so we will spend more time in those particular units compared with some of the others. I talked a bit about my office hours. I do have office hours at the end of the day on Tuesday and Thursday. The majority of my office hours fall on Wednesday, though, and as the syllabus indicates, I will be handling those off campus, so they are remote office hours. And in short, what that means is while I'm usually very good at responding quickly in a timely manner to your emails, I'm going to be checking my emails even more often during the time frame when I have posted remote office hours on Wednesday. And if you prefer to talk with me rather than ask me some things through an email, just let me know and we will work that out. I'm more than happy to work with you if that's your preference for our meeting time. As I scroll through, I certainly talked about how much, though not all of our time together in the classroom will be centered on some lectures that I hope approach being more conversational than just a straight monologue coming from me. I love when we get in to some discussion and providing different sorts of examples when students take part. But we will have in class some forms of small group discussion, in-class activities, and things like that throughout the semester. I want to say a couple of things about your textbooks. I know that I've already received a few questions about them, one of which is, does it matter if you order a paper copy or an e-text? Absolutely not. Whichever one works best for you in terms of how you learn best or what works best for your budget. But you do need to get A and B as soon as possible. That would be the book called Sociology Matters, and it's by Schaefer. And the other one is called The Engaged Sociologist, and that is by Corgan and White. You need both of those as soon as possible. The book, The Engaged Sociologist, that is the one that you will focus on for purposes of completing homework assignments. I'll talk more about those in just a moment, but that one is important for purposes of homework assignments. The book called $2 a Day, Living on Almost Nothing in America. You will need to get your hands on a copy of that book. I'm going to guess it cost around $10, probably by about week 6. You're going to read that book from cover to cover. It's on the one hand a fairly easy read. It's not particularly pithy, but you will be responsible for knowing the introduction, the first chapter, the last chapter, and one of the 5 specialized chapters that fall between the beginning and the end. Which one of those, I'll assign groups to those the closer we get to that point in time, but you will have to read through the whole work, so you might as well go ahead and get your copy along about week 5 or 6. And again, doesn't matter to me if you have a paper copy or an e-copy, you just need ready access to a copy of that book. I'm going to scroll down till I get to the point where I find, yes, here we go, things that I'm going to grade you on this semester. I've given you the short list of those things, well, the complete list, but short description of those things here under evaluations. You'll see that there are 3 tests. There are a few quizzes. The first quiz comes up on Thursday. It's only worth 5 points, not that much. But why would I have that? Well, I want to make sure that as quickly as possible, you are comfortable taking online quizzes that involve using Respondus Lockdown. I never know if my students are familiar with using that, taking a test under those circumstances. I want to make sure any questions you may have dealing with that, you're doing that in the context of a quiz that's just a kind of a small points quiz. The largest quiz that you're going to have will be one that will assess you on your understanding and ability to think critically about the $2 a day book. And so that one is worth 40 points, but obviously that's not going to come till later on in the semester. You have an end of semester paper that's worth 100 points. That will be a different type of final paper, and I hesitate to use the word fun, but it's the most enjoyable version of a final paper that I can think of. That gives you an opportunity to apply your new understandings of sociological concepts and perspectives, and you'll be doing a movie analysis or an analysis of a fictional piece, and I will provide you with that work. It is a particular work. It's called October Birds. It's written by a medical sociologist who tells us the story about a fictitious situation that seems oddly familiar to us. It's about a town that is dealing with the first wave of a pandemic that begins to spread not just throughout their community but beyond. And it'll give you a great opportunity there too, if you choose to work with that paper option to apply some of your new sociological insights. And then there are the homework assignments. You can see here there are 9 altogether that come from the Corgan and White book called The Engaged Sociologist. Each one is only worth 10 points. It's not that much, but altogether they're worth nearly 100 points. So you want to make sure that you give them a good effort as well. You'll see here, I have listed the specific things you'll do in each of those homework assignments at the end of each chapter. And these are very, very short chapters. Most of them are no more than 5 or 6 pages in length. You'll find at least 2 sections at the end of each chapter. One section, they have a set of what they call exercises. In chapter 2, for example, there's an exercise 2.1, an exercise 2.2, 2.3, and so on. And then after that, there's a section just called discussion questions. And when we get to chapter 2, your instructions on the homework assignment is to select from one of the exercises or one of the discussion questions, and that'll be the basis of your homework assignment. Maybe you choose to write on discussion question number 7. That's the only one you focus on. These will be well-crafted, well-organized paragraphs or 2 that you submit. You will submit these in the portal on Canvas that I'll create for you with regard to each of the homework assignments. And these, like other assignments, will be due typically on their due date at the end of the day. And this is your place in the syllabus where you can find exactly which things you're supposed to select from when working on your homework assignments. I already said something about the paper. I mentioned a little bit in class today about the discussion posts that you'll be participating in. These are intended to keep us a little bit more engaged with each other, but most certainly with the readings. And what are you going to be writing about? Well, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be posting your reactions to something that you've just viewed for purposes of class, or something that you've just read. It won't be introducing new material, but it may be asking you to think about that material in a different way. And you're going to be responding to the original post, and you'll post a reply to one of your classmates. And as always, to keep things going well in class, I've given some ideas about more positive ways to contribute to those posts by some narrative I have listed here. Scroll on down, and I'll close by focusing on how I've structured our roadmap for the semester. If you kept scrolling through the syllabus, you'll see that I have listed every class session for us. What are we going to be talking about? What are some of the big questions? What are some of the readings that I'm going to draw from to inform the lecture for that particular day? I have all that listed here for you. One thing that this is not intended to communicate unless it says so specifically, for example, if you look at what I have listed under chapter and readings for today, the 18th, that doesn't mean that I expected you to walk into class having read chapter 1 from both the Schaeffer and the Corrigan and White book. It just means one of a few possibilities. If you were to read that today, you could consider yourself up to date with regard to the readings. Going into Thursday's class, if you have read chapter 1 from the Schaeffer book and have started reading chapter 2 from Corrigan and White and or Schaeffer, you'd be in great shape. You don't have to feel like you need to have completed that coming into class for those particular days, unless you're instructed specifically to do so. There are a few places, if you were to scroll through the syllabus, where it says, read this prior to class or view this prior to class. I really mean for you to view it or read it prior to class, because if I state that, that means an important part of our class discussion will be shaped around that particular item, whether it's a video or a short piece to read. I do want to mention things like this, where it says view prior to class. It says sociology and the scientific method, and sociology and research methods in parentheses, Canvas on the Pages tab. That tells you to find those videos. You need to go to Canvas, go to the navigation bar, find where it says Pages, and that will open up a window where you will see clusters of information that I've listed for you there, one of which is a set of short video clips made through a program called Crash Course Sociology. And one of their short videos is called Sociology and the Scientific Method. The other is called Sociology and Research Methods. Those two I want you to have viewed before coming into class on September the 1st. I'm going to scroll back to a location where I say, well, reading one of those crash course, viewing one of those crash course sociology videos is actually an option for you this day. It's optional. You don't have to ever view it, but I think that if you want to reinforce some of the things that are in the readings or things that we mentioned in lecture, the particular video that I name there would be something that would be very helpful. They're probably, by the time I finish posting them all, and I haven't finished yet, there'll be perhaps about 25 of those, maybe 20, and I think you'll enjoy them. They're fun, they're short, and they will definitely enhance your understanding of the material. So that's all I have right now. This is the short version of what we covered in class today. We spent a lot more time in class today introducing ourselves to each other. I asked the people who were present in person to introduce themselves to the rest of us and to me by telling us their name and just something about themselves, whatever they chose to share. I instructed them to take notes. When Thursday people, you come into class in 209, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. And I'm going to ask you to take notes. And the notes that you take will form the basis of your first small, or what I call a micro paper, that's due next week. It will involve just some simple, systematic, organized thinking about the information that you have in front of you. It didn't go as perfectly today in the sense that our people who were joining us through Zoom were not able to hear how their classmates were introducing themselves. That's fine. You will hear what your classmates have to say on Thursday, and that'll serve as the basis for your paper that you put together over the weekend. And that'll be easy to pull together. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. And I will see my Thursday group on Thursday. And I look forward to connecting with the Tuesday group through Zoom as well. Bye.